Hey everybody, Coneversation here. Welcome back to Formula 1 2018 for the United States Grand Prix season number 3 of our career. We have just wrapped up Q1 because it looks like we have a pretty darn sporty car here this weekend. Alonso on top of Q1. I'm a little bit further down and definitely have some time to find around this track, and that's usually the case. Coda and me have a, we'll say, up and down history. Sometimes I'm really good with it, sometimes really bad. The car feels pretty okay here though, so I'm hopeful we'll at least qualify pretty well. I tend to race here better than qualify, and I don't know what the deal is there. There's some tracks that I just don't seem to be as good in qualifying as I am in the race. And unfortunately, a lot of times it seems like, and maybe this is just, you know, the effects of not being as quick, but it seems like my teammate is usually a lot better at those tracks. Which could be completely bogus, because our car is really good right now. Like, we have a lot of upgrades on the car. We definitely have the best car in the field. Of course, all of this is not what you want me to talk about. I bet you almost everybody that watches this series, not everyone that watches is even a Formula 1 fan, but most people want to hear my thoughts on the Vettel-Hamilton incident from Canada last weekend. And I definitely do have some thoughts about it. We've been having some great discussions about it, especially on our Discord channel, where I tend to have a little bit of a strange opinion on these kinds of things, because I don't really come from a Formula 1 style background. You know, I got into motorsports in a very different way. Formula 1 was not my first love, it was something that I kind of grew towards over time. So I don't always share the perspective of the Formula 1 audience, we'll say. This was a pretty good lap. Is it in the 30s? Not quite. Needs to be better than that, I think, to get through. And I don't think these tires have more than one lap in them. I was prepared for that, though. I was prepared to do a second lap. I just wanted something to go up against with Delta. I'll discuss more about my thoughts from Canada in the race, probably, than in qualifying, because it looks like I really need to tighten my belts and focus down. Wait, I don't have belts. Maybe that's my problem. Alright, here we go. Well, not a great launch there, but it'll have to do. It's not too far off. Oh, this is bad timing, Alonso. Thanks, McLaren, for that wonderful bit of sportsmanship. A little bit behind there. This is the section of the track that I really like. And I'll be honest, there's not a lot around here that I really like. So that's really saying something. This could actually help us if we get a tow from Alonso. Maybe they knew what they were doing. Touch the pylon. Depends on if Alonso pulls over or not. Looks like he will be. Oh, this is very helpful, actually. Wow. That is definitely the first time that's ever happened. In our entire playthrough, I think. I can't remember that ever happening. Ah, but I washed wide there. Still 4/10 up. Not quite a perfect line through the never-ending sequence of turns. Good run through there, though.
We have 2 laps of fuel remaining.
Not too bad. That should get us through. I don't think that's... We'll have to find more. There we go. We gave Alonso his tow and we'll let him through. And that should get us through, but Q3, we might need to find a little bit more if we want to be near the front row. Wow, even with the tow, we only ended up 9th. Only ended up 9th in Q2. Also, a big cloud started to roll in at the end of that session, which is worrying. So, we do make it to Q3, but it seems like I'm going to have to really find a little something in Q3 if we're going to be near the front. Luckily, this is one of those tracks that there's lots of opportunity to move forward, but you really gotta hit your marks perfectly, because there's a ton of opportunity to lose position. I'm gonna empty the fuel out to the bare minimum, limp it around, and try for just the absolute best lap I can muster. I was surprised how little the tow ended up helping us. It's actually getting later in the day, I think. I think they do this qualifying almost in the evening for I don't know, time zone reasons. I'm not sure why that is, but they do weird timing for these races. So let's try and really hit this. Not that it's super critical. Better launch. And it is really great to see Alonso doing so well. That was kind of messy. I don't know that it was actually slow, but just kind of messy. As much as it would be a detriment to me, I do hope that they add in flat spotting of the tires to one of these games someday, because that is such a huge part of Formula One. Since they don't allow ABS on these cars, and their braking potential is just immense. I don't think this has been the lap we absolutely need so far. Kind of missed my turn in there as well. That was also ugly. That was a little better at least. Alright, let's try and be flat through here. There we go, hit my marks perfectly through there. So that's an improvement. Don't take the Vettel line out there. Oh, a 31, that's awful.
Fantastic. That was the fastest lap.
Jeff, you're wrong. You are just wrong. That's gonna be 10th. There's no way that's not 10th. I don't have another set of tires either. I used them all, so. Yikes. Yikes. Looks like we'll have some work to do today in Coda.
With that then, let's run through the grid order. Fernando Alonso has a good view of turn 1 from his pole position slot. And starting alongside is Nico Hülkenberg. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Raikkonen, Kevin Magnussen, and Grosjean, Ocon, Perez, Red, and Charles Leclerc, Vettel, Ricciardo, Valtteri Bottas, and Ericsson, Verstappen, Hartley, Lewis Hamilton. They've taken a grid penalty, and Sergei Sirotkin. Stroll and Pierre Gasly rounds off the grid.
Okay, I know it's your home Grand Prix, but treat it like any other race. Don't take unnecessary risks.
I'll treat it however I want to, Jeff. Thank you very much. Alright, so we're going to be putting on 5. It's going to get sunnier. Not really any drama there. Alright, let's get to it. We are on the right side of the track, so we should get a decent launch, but I'd much rather be to the inside to make up positions. So we're kind of on the sticky side of the track. That's not too bad. Decent launch. Smack that gear shift. Can I get to the inside? I did. I don't know if I pushed Leclerc out of the way to do it. I feel like a little bit of a jerk if I did. But sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. We're behind the Haas's. What a crazy field this is today. We got the Renault's way up front. First and third. A McLaren in second. This season has definitely gotten pretty wacky. Who knows what might happen if you continue to let this play out with the reg changes in between seasons where, you know, we're losing what? Power and aero? That would be a pretty big changeover by season 4, considering I'm not saving anything on this car, and who knows what the other teams have done. You know, I was kind of just talking about Hulkenberg. I don't know why I forgot how to say his name. He's got the easiest name to say in this sport. But yeah, we were talking about how his career has gone and how, I don't know, through my perspective, no fault of his own, he's just been so stuck as a mid-pack driver. And it doesn't really make a lot of sense because he's had great pace, great patience. He's never someone you hear people upset with. And he always matches or betters his teammates. And yet there he is, now in the Renault, which is, I mean, it's a team that's rebuilding and working their way back up, but they're no front runners, and he's getting to the age now where he's probably just never going to have a chance to compete for a title. And that's just kind of one of the nature of the beast things about Formula One.
Okay, when monitoring some wear on the ICE, be aware that we will start to see a loss of power.
Oh, I see it. I see it right here. But when there's only basically 4 seats per season that have a legitimate chance of a championship, and that's sometimes being gracious, sometimes not, sometimes there's more than that. But when there's that few seats and so many people, relatively, so many people pushing their way to Formula One every year, it's amazing and incredible how hard those 4 seats are to get.
We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the super softs.
It's one of those things that makes me appreciate the front runners, even if you get bored of them, even if you're like, man, I just want to see somebody else win. You gotta step back from that for a second and just appreciate what it takes to get to that part of Formula One, because you could easily be a Hulkenberg. You could easily be a Magnussen or Grosjean, really, who, in my estimation, will also, you know, they're just going to end their Formula One careers as mid-pack drivers. A little short pick action. Short pick? Short pit. I can speak. I know words. I think they just about wrecked in front of us there. Someone's holding up the pack here. We got third, second. So it's not first, which I believe is Alonso. I think it might be Hulkenberg. I was talking too nice about him, apparently. And now he seems to be having some issues holding up the pack.
We're accumulating some wear.
Ooh, a little snap there.
To manage this, we'll need to lower our ERS deployment mode.
This is relevant to the weekend's issues
Push now.
between Hamilton and Vettel. Now, in this case, it's not really an issue between Hamilton and Vettel. Honestly, anyone that tries to pin it in that way has it all wrong to me. This is an issue between Formula One drivers and Formula One stewards, the FIA, the sanctioning body. That is an impossibly tough position to even be in, to try and, you know, regulate these races. And when it's that hard to get to the top of something like this, it matters so much. You're only going to be an enemy. You know, you're never going to be friend of the people and the person writing the rules, making the calls.
Don't forget, box this lap.
In this kind of series, it's never going to go both ways. Oof. We'll wait for the pit stop for me to really get into the juicy bits here. Nobody going with me, huh? That's fine. Got hit the wall there. So the short and narrow of it is, please watch the incident before you hear me talk about it, because I don't want you to just base your opinion on what happened
Go.
based on my perspective. Well, I'm the only one that pit in the whole field. That's surprising.
Pit strategy complete. See these tires through to the end now.
I'll try. We gotta get the speed really quick here. I'm gonna go to Rich Mix. So the incident is basically Vettel in the lead, gets out of shape on the brakes, going into one of the chicanes at Montreal. Happens pretty frequently. Oh, that's wide. It's a nature of the beast.
Showing small signs of wear. Power output will be down.
And it was the race we've all been waiting for, where Vettel and Hamilton were head-to-head. They were fighting for a win. My brother doesn't really like races like that, where they're not actually passing each other. I find them really interesting. I really like it when
We're not going to be able to run in this engine
they're just
much
close
longer.
together.
We're about a lap over target.
I wish I could tell Jeff to shut up.
Fix too soon.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed the whole race. Up until the point where Vettel, you know, basically, we'll say made a driver error. He overdrove it, got loose, went through the grass, came back on track.
We're trailing our teammate by 24.5 seconds.
Be a long pit road. I guess he did have a pretty good lead too. I can't believe nobody's pit yet. So, yeah, from my perspective, that's what that was. It was a driver getting out of shape, very close in proximity to second place as the leader. And that doesn't happen very often. And when people have moments like he had there,
Okay, some information on Perez.
I think that's up position for us.
Terminal. They're retiring the car.
Maybe not. No, they were behind us. Oh, there he is. But no, yeah, usually if you have a moment like that, that's the end of your day. Especially Canada, where the walls are so close. I know I've been to cars there in this, you know, video game world. Very difficult spot. And Hamilton immediately after says, well, it's a bit of a unsafe entry. And yeah, I'm not gonna be upset at Hamilton for saying that, because as, you know, second place in the race, you see a car just suddenly jut back out on track in front of you. It's shocking, it's surprising. I don't think he was trying to do anything, you know, funny business-wise from that. We just undercut a lot of cars, by the way, I think.
Okay, car behind is now running the super soft tyre. That's the super soft on the car behind.
No, I don't think it was anything like that. It was just a gut reaction to what was a honestly just shocking incident. Like, nobody expects that to happen. but the call was made to give Vettel a 5-second penalty for an unsafe re-entry. The part that bothers me is that I feel like they made that call based on context rather than based on safety. They made the call based on the context of it impeding Hamilton rather than it being like Vettel was doing something dangerous there. Like, the rule for the unsafe re-entry, to me, exists primarily because we have all these tracks with the paved runoffs now. If you run wide, you can hold it flat to the floor and get back on track basically without losing any speed, but you're gonna jut back into traffic when you do that. Oh, I thought I'd have DRS there. Oh, look at the lead Alonso has. This is gonna be a heck of a blockade from me to try and hold second. That strategy was so good. See, I feel like if, say, Vettel does that exact same move in 10th place with no cars behind him, there's not even an investigation. Nobody even looks at it. The reason they looked at it was because second place was close to him. But anybody that's ever driven a car knows when you have an incident like that, there's no changing your trajectory. There's no... Oh, that got close. There's no just simply, I will just now re-enter the track as slowly and away from the rest of the cars as possible. No, you just ran a car through the grass and amazingly didn't hit the walls. It's very different than I ran the car wide, you know, into the runoff and jutted back on track. That's just a completely different situation. And it's unsafe because you're at speed jutting your car back into the track. Very much so, adding risk to, you know, a crash to your opponents for no reason. If you're just going to start penalizing people for losing control of their cars, fine, start penalizing people for losing control of their cars, but I don't think that's the intent of the rule. And if that is the intent of the rule, then it needs to be rewritten. So, all I get out of this, I'm not buying any of this conspiracy bull, you know what? It's not a Hamilton favoritism, it's nothing like that. It's simply something that needs to be rewritten and discussed for the future, so we don't end up in another situation like this, where we have a race that basically ends with what feels like a fake result. Because so many people don't agree with the penalty. If you're gonna assess penalties mid-race that completely dictate the result of the race, you better be darn sure you're making the right call. I'm trying to hold on to Raikkonen here, but it ain't easy being cheesy. I don't even like cheese. Oh, that's too much. Too much curb. I'm gonna lift right here to give up some of that time. that was way too much. And you all know I'm not a big fan of track limit rules either, and I think this kind of is in the same wheelhouse as those. It's rules that are just way too much like trying to make racing more similar to other forms of sport. rather than
Okay, we need some energy harvesting. Reduce ERS deployment.
trying to, you know, formulate rules that are based around motorsport. I've always felt that a racetrack is defined by the person that built it and the way the drivers navigate it. If you built a racetrack that ends up being quicker in a completely different space than you intended, oh, I missed that turn so bad, then I'm sorry, you just built your track wrong. If you didn't want cars to be there, then you shouldn't have designed your track in a way that allowed cars to be faster there. It used to be that the line moved year to year. You know, the best way around the track changed as the car changed and technology changed. And then suddenly that became less and less acceptable as the tracks became more and more paved, especially. So they have only themselves to blame for that, in my opinion. And rather than adapt and, you know, learn, change track design, they made a rule that's full of gray areas, interpretation, and is hard to understand for no reason. Not a fan of it. And if you're going to start to use unsafe re-entry of track for ongoing accidents, you're introducing another one of those gray areas. Like, who defines when the end of an accident is? I don't know. Like I said, it's got to be one way or the other. You have to, every time you cause an incident, anytime you leave the racing surface, I guess, 5-second penalty. That's the only way you're ever going to do that and not feel like it's just someone's, you know, personal judgment call.
The leader is 11.9 seconds.
The car has actually come to life for me a bit here. I think it was hard on the first lap because his tires were so new, versus mine had 2 laps on them at that point. But also I think I'm just really good at following around this track. So if I'm going to make a move, I need to do it on the last lap, really. Alonso's really taking it to me here at the end of the season. For as long as we were so far ahead of him, it has certainly inverted. Alright, I think for this lap and the next one, I should focus on harvesting a lot of energy. I've saved some fuel. I gotta stay close to him though. Harvest energy, but stay close. And do not let Grosjean within striking distance.
The energy store is getting warm, reducing our overall capacity. The more charge you hold, the faster that capacity will drop.
Yeah. Not this time. Alright, DRS will pull us along here. Look at that battery charge coming up.
Some information on Hulkenberg. They have an issue with their car. They're going to be slow.
I cursed him! I cursed Nico! I'm so sorry! I didn't mean it! Did I talk to him about on like, or I talk about him on lap 3 of 11 or something? No, it's 14 lap race, we're good. I don't know how I cursed him, but I did it. Ooh, that was a moment.
2 laps of fuel left.
Oh, I gotta do some serious catching up now. That mostly did it. I think we're just gonna end up running this thing dry, basically. We've done that before recently. Where was that, Russia? Hopefully he was using a lot of energy to try and build a gap. Alonso's going quick.
We advise moving to mix 2. Fuel to mix 2.
I advise you pay attention to the race. That's what I advise. Alright, it's gonna get close through here. I wanted to get a better exit than that. Alright, we'll... Ooh, that's not great. But I think I'm still definitely close enough for a DRS pass. Because I have a draft here, so I'm already starting to close that gap. It's going to be a matter of if I can keep it in front of him, though. Watch for the over-under. Nice. Take this inside line away. Hit a good exit. That's a little dicey on the amount of track used. I missed my apex there a bit. But we got this. That was well done, I think. Not bad.
Great drive.
I don't even remember most of that race. I was so focused on the conversation. I do know that I have got to pee.
What a fantastic
Oh, man.
and an
I
excellent
might park my car at Park for Me,
drivers then,
just so I
out
can get to
onto
the bathroom quicker. Wonder if a driver's ever done that.
After this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers'
How do they
table.
look?
Well, the gap at the top of the championship has been cut down after a difficult race
We're
today
closing,
for our
but
championship
slowly.
leader. And now I'd
Oh,
like to
whoa,
ask
whoa, whoa,
you,
whoa, we
Nancy
passed, we
Davidson,
passed.
Who was your driver of the day?
I have to give it to Red. They demonstrated a very delicate touch
Thanks.
and close proximity to other cars.
Oh, we're
as well
close
as
there,
showing a lot of
too.
maturity and patience in difficult situations.
And now let's take a look at the constructors' standings. So then, Ferrari have now moved out of sight and out of reach. It's another triumph for the Italian team as they claim the World Constructors' Championship. It was great having you with us for this weekend. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Until next time though, goodbye.
Woo, I feel better. Okay. So, yeah, I think I got all that. Let's go to the replay and close this one out. It was really quite an interesting race, despite the conversation. I'm curious, I think there was a bit of a near moment or a moment at the start. The big dive to the inside, 3 wide. Works out just fine. No contact there. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. There we are. Yeah, nothing here. I managed to get the car a little offline, but sorted. Oh yeah, I made a very late pass on one of the Haas's here, I believe. Maybe? No, I must be thinking about another lap. That's how you know how focused on the conversation it was. I don't even remember what the race was like. I just remember that run after Kimi at the end. The only thing that got us that position was pitting so early. If we hadn't pit so early, I really don't see any way we would have been in contention in this one. You can tell I was really running the nose down setup here. It works quite well at the tracks that are this fast. Well, this fast and need a lot of downforce. That's the thing. I wasn't really doing it at, like, Monza. Because at Monza, you need the straightaway speed, but you don't really need a lot of downforce there. So you don't have to run the thing crazy slam to the ground like I am. It's weird because the AI They visually all run a default setup, so you can't really tell that they're any different. No, I don't know. Maybe they do run a default setup. Maybe they run the same setup every week. I'm not really sure. I don't know. I think most of the action was later in the race, but I think I done talked myself out at this point. So, thank you as always for watching. I shall see you next time. That wasn't very good. I was trying to do the room thing. It was a bad attempt. I'm sorry.